morning, Ms. Shannon.
Good morning.
It has been a pleasure working with you at Vitalenergy Rehab Center. And as I remember, we started seeing you for your shoulder pain and the arm pain, and then we discharged you and saw you back for your cox pain and low back pain, and then the foot pain. So do you want to talk about this myofascial pain journey and the rehab that you had at Vitalenergy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had shoulder surgery in 2008. It had complications. It froze. I had to have a release under anesthesia. And the pain wasn't going away. They referred me to a rheumatologist who said that I had 3/4 of the markers of fibromyalgia, but not all of them. And I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, well, treat it the same way. And I said, well, what does that mean? And they said, pain management. I'm like, to the end goal of not having any more? And they're pretty much like, well, no. And I go, well, what does this all mean? And basically what it meant was pain pills and muscle relaxers. And when I came here, I was very much tied into that medical model that was necessary. No matter what you were going to do, that was going to be necessary too. And as time wore on, I started to see that things, the better I felt emotionally, the more the pain started to release. And the treatments that I got here helped facilitate that. Unfortunately, we then moved away, and we were gone for about a year and a half. And when we came back, I had pain in other areas of my body. It still wasn't gone. So I had been on pain pills and muscle relaxers, and then while we were away, spinal injections as well, because my back started to just have spasms. And so that was the thing I thought, that's what I'm going to be just stuck with. I tried chiropractic and massage therapy, and they helped a little, but they didn't do the whole thing. And when around last March, I had a fall on my tailbone. And the x-rays actually showed that the tailbone had moved forward. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand. I wasn't comfortable. A few months later, I hurt my lower back lifting a 5-gallon gas can, something I'll never do again. But after that moment, I was thinking, what can I do? What can I do? And then I remembered I could go to Vitalenergy. And so I started coming here in late July. It was for the foot, for the back, for the tailbone, and bit by bit it started to work. I was looking in my journal last night, and I saw this entry that said that after just about 2 weeks after the lower back injury, that I was starting to get some significant release and relief, and to the point where I even used the words, I think that's healed.
So it was the myofascial release therapy that I was doing with the pelvic floor.
Absolutely. I could actually feel. I could actually feel the energy moving in my body from like one point to another. You could touch one spot, and I would say, well, it hurts over here, but then pretty soon I'd start to feel the energy move to there and heal, and I started to see things unstick with the physical therapy part of it, with the foot, with the heel spur that I had, using the frres tool and the exercises, and because I was seeing you also. I remember this one day where I came in and you had worked on me, and I could feel it go straight to my heel, even though your hands were on my back. And that was the first day when they were using the frres tool that it did not just send me through the roof in pain. In fact, it felt like a massage. And from then on, I mean, shortly after, my heel was healed. It was done. As my hips, through physical and occupational therapy, as my hips started to unwind through all of the release, then it started to make the shoulders kind of get tight, and in my arm I kept feeling this is getting tighter and tighter and tighter, to the point where it got so weak, I mean, I couldn't lift hardly anything. What's going on? And so, we just kept shifting the therapy between physical and occupational, and it was the last bits of those exercises and the releases where now this arm has the same strength pretty much that it used to have.
And the beauty of the whole treatment was we were able to combine occupational therapy, physical therapy, alternative therapy, myofascial release, craniosacral therapy, stretching you with combination of, maybe today I will do the pelvic floor release, but if I felt that the scapula was really drawing that day, we would work on that. So wherever the fascia did the rebounding, we finally unwinded you.
Yes.
And I think the exercise had its own importance in the whole process. If I would not have used the progressive resistive exercises and end range strength training, then we would not have maintained everything what we released, because once we release the strength and that the particular muscle fiber strength, agonist versus antagonist, or left side versus the right side, if that balance and precision that the physical occupational therapist training gives, that really help to maintain the posture and ultimately let go of all the binding and fascia restriction and pelvic floor not flowing right was causing its all result, right?
Yeah, I can remember this. It happened about a week and a half ago where it was the big release. And you have that picture on your wall, and I was walking, and I was like, my legs are gliding. That was like the first time I had felt that in a few years. And I'm like, this is different. This is really different. And I was so excited, and the shoulder just followed right behind it, and it was just so exciting to see progressively it getting better and better. Where with other modalities, that were more traditional, I never could really get that sense of getting better and better. It was always maybe get a little bit of relief, rebound, get a little relief, rebound, and the myofascial release is it's the best thing I've ever had for therapy.
So treatment as a whole versus the injured part.
Yes,
give a message
yes.
that to the people that let your body get treated as a whole and not in a fragment, because anywhere you have a fall or injury or surgery, there is a fascia that's going to compromise somewhere else in the body, and that's where, if not really looked upon, can get worse.
That's right. I mean, I'm an environmental scientist, and I do wetland and stream restoration. We don't just fix one part. We look at the whole ecosystem, and we evaluate it together. And so this is just the body ecosystem doing the same thing. Traditional models will just look at that sick or injured body part, and they won't look at the whole thing. But you looked at the whole thing, and there were some days where I had up days, and there were some days it was down, and progress was not like this. It was like this. But I wouldn't trade a thing. I mean, yes, it was a long journey, but I know that there's a way to wholeness that does not necessarily have to involve drugs. I have no drugs. I take nothing for pain, not even an ibuprofen anymore.
Thank you. And so you will give a message to the people that don't just take it in and leave with the pain, right?
That's right.
Yeah, there is always a treatment available, and I'm Hima, Dalal, the founder and owner of Vital Energy, who is really thanking you for being a great patient.
I'm really thanking you.
Thank you.
Yes.